And we're back here once again with another episode of the MSK show. And this is going to be episode 351. So I hope you guys had a great day and I hope you guys have a great weekend that is ahead of you. And in this episode of the MSK show, I am going to be having a conversation once again with Herman Hunter. And this is going to be his second appearance on the show. His last appearance, which was his first appearance on the show, was like around episode 27, I think, actually.
Wow.
So it's been quite a bit of time since you've been on the show. This
Yeah.
guy's just always getting in fights on Twitter because he's like, you know what? George R.R. Martin is overrated. I should be in his spot. I would give you guys books, actually. You know?
Yeah. Cage match. Hey,
Or-
cage match. Hey, cage
Yeah.
match, George.
Good Lord, man. You know what's crazy, dude? Is that like people literally on your type of level would kill to have that amount of fans that love their work. And this
Yeah.
guy just can't be bothered to put out more books in a series that people are begging him for. It's not even a series that you would potentially have written where it's like fans are like, yeah, you could kind of leave this one kind of where it's at. It's fine. They're like literally being like, hey, dude, I will give you money if you keep doing this. Please, we like it that much. We love it. Please keep doing this. And then I just can't stand people like that. Like, people would kill for fans like that. Like,
Yeah,
and you know how hard it is to like, you know this too, dude. People, my friend is writing a book. A lot of people write books. It's so hard to get anybody interested in any of this stuff.
Yeah,
And this
it
guy
takes
has this guy's fans out just the wazoo for his stuff, and he can't even be bothered to give those passionate fans another book in that series. Absolutely disgusting from this guy. I hate people like that, man. It pissed me off so much.
Well, what I have heard, and I can't go into details to where I heard this.
Allegedly.
Yeah. It's pretty good information. Is that something that had to do with the Game of Thrones show and the way it ended, I
Mhm.
think really put a dent in his desire to finish the series. And so I think we can blame Dan and Dave.
Yeah. Because
I don't like them anyways.
So for you guys who don't remember, so Game of Thrones, I watched one episode of it. It's just really not my thing. Like medieval kind of stuff is just really just not my thing. I think the only medieval thing that I really gravitated to, I guess, like the Three Musketeers and Lord of the Rings, and I guess you can count Chronicles of Narnia as somewhat medieval to a certain extent. That's my extent of medieval stuff. Oh, I watched that Roman movie back in the day. You know the one where it's like, and you too, Brutus, when he was betrayed Caesar and everything. It's like an old movie. Play.
Yeah, it's probably
fuck, I forgot the name of it. It's a pretty good movie.
Probably Julius Caesar.
I think it was Julius Caesar, yeah. And so people don't remember, the show ended with the writers having the specific way they wanted to end the show before the actual series finished. So the book series wasn't over, and they kind of just essentially made their own version of the ending because there was no more books to go after. I think they said after season 6, season 5, something like that. They just kind of kept winging it. And it's so weird because, like, that's kind of like how anime is sometimes too. Like, you can't have any more of the main story until the creators do more of the main story in the manga before the anime episodes continue. And that's how Game of Thrones went. Like, now Game of Thrones is essentially, these people put in straight up filler bullshit. And the main creator is like, I don't even know if I can even make something better than that. You know what's crazy? You actually can, because people hate that Game of Thrones ending so much. He could probably write the most average thing, and that will be better than what the hell happened probably at the end of that show.
They wanted somebody was dangling Star Wars over their head.
I remember that.
And they wanted to end that quick. And when they, when season 8 freaking face planted, that pretty much killed their Star Wars chances. And I haven't heard of them having another series to date. Yeah,
because it's funny you say that, because after it was revealed they were potentially going to be getting that Star Wars deal, which is really weird. Do you remember that time frame? It was like the show was about to end. It was like on the last episode of the last season, and then it's like the Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, Variety, all these articles come out where it was like, these two writers are going to be leading a new Star Wars trilogy. Then once that last episode came out and everyone hated it, for the most part, I've never met someone who actually liked the ending. It's like an 80-20, give or take. There's other people that I like that stuff. I haven't heard their names at all anywhere.
No, they just vanished. I think that they're on like some sort of Netflix series, but they had the world in their hands, and they just dropped the ball hard.
It feels the same way because like people had Game of Thrones then, so I had The Walking Dead. So The Walking Dead was on the first, pretty much the end. No, it was on the first part of season 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my brother get me the seasons off the high seas back in the days. This is what happened with Skyrim. You couldn't afford everything. You just kind of you downloaded stuff in Minecraft. And I remember I binged all of it up until the first part of season 4. The second part is obviously when they left the prison and everything. Then after that, I was just watching the episodes as they came out. And I know how people feel. Man, Walking Dead was the same way. Like it peaks so hard in those first early seasons. I think it peaks pretty much after. I think the whole peak of the show is just around like the first 4 seasons. All of it to me is just really, really good.
Well,
after season 4, just good God, the show is so
the
bad.
thing is after the governor, there was nothing. I mean, there was really nothing left to do.
Yeah.
Everybody else, I mean, even Negan was the governor again.
Essentially, yeah, he was, yeah.
And then after the governor was, I forget whatever they're in now, the people with the frickin' stormtrooper armor. It's the same freaking storyline. They have some sort of tyrant who's going to, ruin their lives or something like that.
Yeah.
And Rick is looking for Carl, and Rick is trying to keep everybody alive. It's just you can only, at one point or another, you can only play that same.
I feel like the comics are much better. Like the comics, if you actually you don't have to read them. You can go on YouTube and just have someone skim it through you. Comics, way better, way more detailed, actually way more darker too. Like Rick doesn't even lose his hand in the series. Yeah, people don't actually know this. The governor slices off Rick's left hand early in the series, but that didn't happen. But that didn't happen in the TV show because they considered that too dark. What's crazy is that's considered too dark, but having a son blow his mom's brains out is not too dark.
Yeah,
the logic people leap over is insane. What the hell?
So I think what it is is that they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it panel by panel, and so they mix it up. But but the thing is that after a while, all you're left with is how many people they kill. And that's what it was coming down with. That's what was coming down with Game of Thrones. It was, well, who dies this season?
You'd always guess. The fans would have their theories and stuff. Same thing with The Walking Dead, because that was just their gimmick. Was just we're gonna just randomly kill someone you just don't expect, and then at a single point, I remember thinking about this back in the day when I was watching it. I was like, that gimmick's gonna run out quickly because you're gonna be basically killing off everyone, and then who do you kill off when all the fan favorite characters are gone? Because after I was pretty much done after season 4 when they killed Beth. They just killed Beth for just no reason because they just want to have their character suffer. I get it. It's a zombie world. Characters have to suffer. But there was just deaths that just didn't make any real sense long term at that moment in time. Like they had a fake Glenn death only for him to actually die. After Glenn died, I pretty much just fell off the show. I came back to watch the highlights of it here and there.
Yeah.
And then he didn't kill Negan. And I was like, I get that's from the comic books, but I think from a show perspective, that's one of the things you changed in the comic books. I think killing him in the show made more sense than not doing it in the books, obviously.
Yeah,
and ridiculous.
And at that point, once it becomes who dies this season or who dies this episode, I'm done. There's nothing. I mean, there's people want
just going
stories.
for shock value. That's really
exactly.
All it is.
Who's going to die this? And after a while, that plays itself out. So then now you're stuck. With this show that has diminishing returns. I like I said, when they hit about Negan, that's where I kind of shut off.
Yeah, literally after I think episode 2 of season 6, it was after Glenn died and he was terrorizing Daryl for a little bit.
Yeah.
Negan, that actor Jeffrey D. Morgan is amazing. He did a fantastic job, but goddamn, I was just so It's because they did a fake Glenn death the season before, and I was like, what's the point of doing a fake death when we know you're going to have Negan kill him? It's just so unnecessary. And then Rick was simping for that one lady who was with that doctor who was abusing her. I was like, oh my God, what happened to the Rick that just ate someone's face off because they were trying to rape Carl? Like, what happened to that guy? Like, God damn, Michonne's black. And I was like, okay, can't have these here,
Yeah.
Good Lord, man. And then I will say season 2, man, that shit was dark. Good Lord. I hate it because the reason why I hate that meme sometimes is because it comes after one of the saddest things in the show. He blows his mom's brains out because she's turning into a zombie, and then the only thing you remember about it is that coral meme. Damn it!
Yeah.
That's the only remember about it.
So
Oh
yeah,
God,
I mean, yeah, the prison. I like the prison. I liked Through the Governor. Actually, yeah, the Governor was the prison, and then after that, then they had was it Terminus? I think it was.
yeah, they kind of skipped over that arc pretty quickly. The people that were just
Yeah,
eating people, that was
yeah,
skipped over so fast. It was like just done in like a few episodes.
yeah. That was actually kind of interesting, but they just sort of like that took up a handful of
It was the same thing in the
episodes, and then they
Flash
were done.
season 3 when they
Yeah,
just had Flashpoint in like a few episodes. I'm like, that's probably not something you just don't do Flashpoint in a few episodes. But I get it. TV, they're like, we don't have enough money, and it's like AMC's only show that gets ratings is anything Walking Dead related and Walking Dead related spinoff. I was surprised it's still going on. Because The Walking Dead, the last time I checked up on it, it was like a Rick and Michonne spinoff or something like that.
yeah.
And I heard that wasn't that good. I'm like, are they still doing this? There's just no way.
Yeah, there's a Rick and Michonne one. Then they did that one where Daryl goes to France. Daryl was the only interesting character at some point,
At some
and
point, yeah,
so
which is
so
crazy.
they're gonna like that. That's not going to go away until they pry Daryl from their cold dead hands. And then there's like there's like a kids version of The Walking Dead, which is like and then they had that one where they did like the prequel, which is out in California. God, I forget what they are, but the beginning, like the beginning of The Walking Dead, and I tried watching that show, and it was just so annoying. The main characters were all idiots. I just so I was the start of it was kind of cool because they had the drug addict
Yeah.
son who wakes up and finds one of his junkie girlfriends eating one another junkie or something like that. And so that was kind of cool. And he was an interesting character, but everybody else is a moron. And I got so sick and tired of it.
Yeah, apparently now The Walking Dead is just on that Daryl spinoff show. It just concluded its third season. I don't know if so they said a fourth and final season. It's gonna be premiering later this. It premiered fourth and final season. Yeah, so that apparently has to come out a fourth and
Yeah.
final season. And like, what in the world? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Then there's The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. Like, what the fuck?
I think that was the kids show where they had the young kids coming
Anything to
out.
just keep this going.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they gotta run the frickin' franchise into the
I
ground.
always thought CSI was a lot more interesting than some of these shows.
Yeah, well, I mean, it had a lot. I mean, I never really watched CSI.
After
I like,
Lawrence Fishburne kind of left the original one, I was like kind of out.
yeah,
Actually, yeah, they replaced him with that white guy. I was like, this is just not the same.
yeah.
You know,
Well, I
TV.
mean,
You know this dude. TV has it really bad with that. If you swap out a main character you started out with, because you kind of grow with them throughout the years, it's so hard to like a replacement. I'll be honest here, man. I don't think I've seen any TV show where that's happened where the replacement is liked like the original person. Like even like some like Blue's Clues. Remember like Joe replaced Steve and nobody liked Joe. I was like, this guy's
yeah,
trash.
we want to bring Steve back. So, and boy, that guy must have had problems getting women. So,
oh my god, because people forget the dog was blue. Girls probably asked him, "Hey, is your favorite sex position doggy style?" I guarantee you they always asked him that. He probably was like, "Oh fuck me."
he probably had to wear a wig on dates or something like that. So, yeah, was it Crime and Punishment?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, the one that I really liked was they had, no, it wasn't Jimmy Smits, it was the other guy, and I can't remember his name. And Jerry Orbach and Chris Noth.
Mhm.
I liked that show, but then they kept spinning off, CSU and the special, or was it Special Victims Unit, and this, and I got done with it. And then
Which
it
one? Law
started.
and Order.
Yeah, Law and Order. That was the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Law and Order.
My only one I ever watched was a Special Victims Unit one. That's the only one I
Yeah.
ever liked. Yeah,
I
I liked
like
Criminal Minds. That was very good. Criminal Minds was
Yeah.
very, very good.
And when I had Netflix, we got rid of Netflix. The other one was Mindhunter. I really liked that. And that had
Mhm.
oh God, what was that? The guy who played was it Wesley on in The Princess Bride? I think that was the guy.
Fuck. I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. I just can't think
Yeah.
of the freaking name. Yeah.
But
Mhm.
but yeah, that Mindhunter, that was really good. And of course, one of my favorites is always the X-Files.
I
But
watched
that
I never watched the X-Files. I heard it was very good. I think I maybe watched an episode here and
it's
there.
good up until about like the 6th season.
Were you
And
ever a
then
Twilight Zone fan at any point?
the old one or the new one?
I'm pretty sure the old one's the one that's
Oh yeah, I
beloved.
like the Twilight Zone. The
Okay.
old Twilight Zone when they had, Rod Serling. They actually had good writers.
Mhm.
And the new one wasn't that bad. It wasn't great. I mean, you got like such an iconic show
Mhm.
that you can't follow that. You just are not going to follow it.
Yeah. And
So,
what else was there? Fucking hell. I bet, oh, man, because I know Sparkles mentioned Grey's Anatomy. The fact that that's still going on is insane.
mhm.
NCIS is probably still going on. CSI for sure is probably still going
Yeah.
on. How many more? And you always just wonder, even when you dip out of those shows, you probably wonder, this show is probably going to end very soon. No, they're probably still going on.
No, they still keep them going because it's the only thing on.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest.
My favorite one was always CSI Miami. That was always to me the best one. I tried watching a CSI New York, but that was just boring. It was just bored the shit out of me. I would watch them like they had an actual, I feel like, ending. Then they did another season. I was like, oh my god, that's problem with TV. It's like you have like episode you could consider the actual ending, and they just do another season. I think the people that really got it bad back in the day when we didn't even know what was going on were the kids shows on like Nickelodeon and places like that.
Yeah.
That's what apparently was. Oh, good lord! Like you remember that documentary that I forgot which company put it out against that one guy who was running all those kids shows.
Yeah.
Oh, I forget the name of the guy, but
I think he was in Saved by the Bell. He was like one of the background characters.
Yeah, he was the executive producer. He signed all the checks and everything. I remember they questioned was like, hey, did you know this person was a Yao molester? He was like, well, we didn't do background checks. What do you? Whoa!
Sorry, what?
What the? You mean to be around these kids? You guys didn't run background checks on any of these people, and they had to be. And these people were day to day operating with next to kids. You didn't run background check. That's insane. That's not just on him. That's insane. That's not even a thing. That's crazy.
And some of those child actors, the agents and some of the studio people make sure that their parents aren't there, and that's really freaking dangerous.
That's very red flag. Yeah, that's a lot of red flags there. And keep in mind, this was back in the day when parents were so obsessed with like having their kids become like childhood actor stars because they can get all that money being affiliated with them because that's their parents. Like the fact that he said they didn't do background checks, I'm like, that's already a red flag here and there. What the hell is that?
What is it?
Like,
Melissa McCurdy? Is that her name?
Yeah. It was Dan Schneider. That was him.
Dan Schneider, that's it.
Dan Schneider. And keep in mind, he said, oh, I'm going to sue them for all these lies they put out. He hasn't said a peep since.
Yeah.
He said he was going to sue them. Dan, where's that lawsuit? Well, I'm still waiting, just like my dad's supposed to be in my life. I'm waiting. Not going to be here. Bro said he was going to sue them because it was misinformation. Bro just like straight up and vanished.
Yeah.
Oh, God, man. What was going on back? And keep in mind, the entertainment was so good that we all were like, everything just must be peachy. No, it wasn't. That shit was on fire.
They covered all that stuff up.
Man, even just the stuff with R. Kelly, the stuff with like, even that he's married a 15-year-old. I remember that was a big story when I was young. What in the world? Why would a mom let that happen? People keep blaming the parents. It's like, yeah, you can blame the mom, but it's like the fact that that's even allowed to even be a thing is insane. Like, I guess if you lived in Japan, that'd be like acceptable, but not here. No, we don't do that here. We're not weird, you know?
So, God. I know. But I mean, it's just, I can't, you start digging deep, you start digging those holes, man. It just gets worse and worse. And God knows where it ends.
even just something with Power Rangers, it just got dark for them, and you think everything is all peachy good. No, this like my stupidity back in the day was assuming that just because you were in this kind of capacity, you were just filthy rich. No, that's not even not the case. You could actually even get to that point where you're on a show and you're acting in several seasons, and you're not even actually wealthy. That's crazy.
Yeah, no. The stars get stars get a majority of the money. Of course, the studio gets virtually all of it.
Yeah, and the producers, or like I heard something that they literally they'll cut a show so they won't have to give it like the constant residuals if it hits a certain amount of seasons. It's just kind of fucked up. That's why it's a miracle certain shows go as long as they do.
Yep.
But were you ever a Friends fan? I was never that into Friends.
I wasn't. Yeah, I watched a couple of shows. I was never. Like I said, I was an X-Files guy.
Yeah.
And a lot of that stuff I wasn't. I like horror. I like sci-fi. I don't like a lot of those.
Do you watch Star Trek?
Oh yeah. So I watched it up through Voyager. Then
did you watch J.J. Abrams movie that came out back in like 2009? I think it was.
Yeah, I mean
did you like that one?
It was a popcorn flick, but I really don't like it when they retcon crap.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris Pine, he played a very convincing Kirk, and Spock played a very convincing. The guy who played Spock, I forget what his name is, Quentin something, I think, plays a very good Spock, and Carl Urban does a fantastic performance. Damn it, Jim. Anyways, but it's like, and there's some nice things about it, but that's not Star Trek. That was not Star Trek.
Yeah, I see what people. This happens with a lot of installments in movies like that, where people say there's some good aspects to it, but it doesn't feel like. What's the best one of it? It's like people say the Dark Knight's a good movie, but it's not really a Batman movie kind of thing. But I think that's stupid criticism in general. But I get what people say. Like,
yeah. But the Star Trek movies, and this is the problem that they've got with the new Star Trek movies, is that they're not Star Trek. Star Trek Next Generation, because it's a military vessel. Star Trek Next Generation, Chain of Command, all that stuff. That was very much Star Trek. And then they started moving into DS9, which got away from a lot of the, they got away from a lot of the military stuff. And then Voyager kind of went into that as, was kind of like halfway between DS9 and the Next Generation. But the subsequent stuff after that started getting into that millennial, that sort of millennial style of emotion telling and all this other stuff and stories, and it gets away from the fact that it is a military, that the Enterprise is a military craft. So that's the reason why the first one worked, and the second one worked, and you kind of all the way up in through Voyager, but after that you kind of get tired of it. And the thing is you can only play these cards so many times.
Right.
Well, let's do it a different period of the Enterprise. Okay. At one point or another, you get sick and tired of the frickin' Enterprise.
So Star Trek. Come on, I've never seen anything from it. Oh, to be fair, okay, I did see that clip of that guy fighting that disgusting 80s cheesiest fucking monster, like a Power Ranger fight. Oh god, I did see that. Then, man, special effects, remember, they so fucking awful back then. But quality storytelling is what we stood around for. So it started as a TV series, right? You have the original series. It runs for 3 seasons, 79 episodes. And it said you have like the animated series. Then you have Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager.
Well, hang on. What happened was that they did the movies,
right?
Not long after that, and it was the response from the movies, especially Wrath of Khan.
Wrath of Khan was the one in 1982, right?
Yeah, that's the one with guy played Fantasy Island, and getting old, you forget all this stuff. Ricardo Montalban. That was like a sort of like a nexus, and then after that, they started going towards the new show. So
where did you fall off at? Because there's Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, Discovery. I know Discovery had their series not too long ago.
I started falling off around Voyager. I was pretty, I want to say, I was pretty religious with Deep Space Nine. I didn't care as much about that as I did,
176 episodes. Holy fuck!
I know.
Shit. Over
didn't
7 seasons? That's crazy.
I didn't like the actor who played Cisco. There's just something about the way he pulled it off. I didn't like it.
Dude, that's how
And
crazy TV was. You guys are veteran 7 seasons to get 176 episodes. That means the season 1 is like 40 some episodes.
well,
That's crazy.
this goes back to, the old
Mhm.
syndication system.
Yeah,
Because when that was on, that's when you still had broadcast TV.
true.
And with
Yeah.
the syndication system, and that goes all the way back to the 60s. Yeah, I think 60s, yeah. Which was you had to have so many shows. And then if you got like, I think it was like 4 or 5 seasons of so many shows, you went into syndication. They'd play it and you get residuals from that. Otherwise, it would just disappear. And so that's the reason why they had so many episodes. But when they got to like Netflix, there was no syndication. You were buying a Netflix subscription. Netflix licensed your stuff, and then if when Netflix didn't want to host it on their servers, you just licensed it to somebody else. And of course, I guess they get residuals. I don't really know. So, but yeah, but that was the old syndication
Did
system.
you like the ones where it was just based off just Picard? I know a lot of people go back and forth on that one.
What the Star Trek Picard?
Yeah, that was the one that recently came out like in
I
2023, I think.
watched like 3 episodes, I think, of the first season, and I'm like, this sucks. And then somebody said that they brought back some of the original writers for this 3rd season, and so I
Okay.
watched the 3rd season. I'm like, oh my god, this is actually not bad. And then that ended, and then I think they started season 4, and it went right back to sucking again.
Oh God.
So it's like, if you want to watch this Picard, stick to season 3,
Yeah.
because the first 2 seasons, I don't know what the hell these guys are sniffing when they're writing this stuff, but it must be pretty good because they suck at their job.
Because I heard today they were, because I think I read something on like Discussing Film. They had a tweet where they post where they said that there's apparently Paramount's doing something else with Star Trek coming up very, very soon. Apparently there's going to be another movie. But I remember something happened weird with Star Trek. Like, people don't remember this a few years ago, where Paramount announced a Star Trek movie with the cast, and the cast, like a lot of people who don't even have really go on social media, said we weren't even contacted about this. They announced a movie that the cast didn't even know existed. What the fuck?
I guess they just assume people are going to show up.
Yeah, so right here, let me just show you right here if you didn't see. I'm pretty sure you did. Oh my goodness. It better not be one of those movies where it's like, hey, we're going to bring back all the original people. So that's just nostalgia bait. Hopefully it's not that. That would be fucking weird. A new Star Trek movie's in the works. Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly, the duo behind Dungeons and Dragons, are set to write, produce, and direct a new Star Trek movie. The new film will not be a continuation of the J.J. Abrams-led reboot of the series and won't feature Chris Pine or any of the actors from those movies. The script will not be connected to any previous or current television series, movie, or prior movie development projects.
Wow.
So they're just going start over something brand new, apparently.
Well, hopefully it'll be good, because you can't bring back the originals. Shatner's like in his 90s.
Oh, he's fine. Just get him up.
Yeah, Nimoy is dead. I don't know what the hell happened to DeForest Kelly. He's probably dead too. He kind of looked like he was the older guy. I think the only one left from that entire season was Roddenberry's wife, and I can't remember her name now, but she played the nurse in the sick bay. I can't beat the life of me. I can't remember her name, and she also played Deanna Troy's mom on The Next Generation. So I mean, it's like you're running out of the original cast. They're gone. So that's the reason why they have to bring in a younger version of Spock into everything. When the show sucks is when they have to go in and bring in Spock. So just say, if all of a sudden Spock shows up in the next season, somebody's ratings suck.
And it's also crazy now that you mentioned the whole syndication thing. Is that people actually know the reason why I think a lot of these studios have streaming services. You still have to report these numbers. Keep on, the ratings are what get you the money to obviously to pay your talent and shit.
Yeah.
And if the ratings drop, obviously it's not worth running the show because there's no money coming in, right?
Well, now that they're running ads during the shows, yeah. Which it's kind of funny. We've gone full circle now. It started out you had TV where they ran ads, which paid for the shows and all this other stuff, and then they got rid of that with streaming. It's all ad free, and you just pay the subscription. Now you pay the subscription, and you have to watch the ads.
Yeah. That's how you know streaming wasn't a profitable venture before they brought in the ads, because the whole point of having streaming was so you don't have commercials, and they're like, hey, now you just have commercials. What?
Yeah.
The point of having this was not to have. So you knew they were. There's no way they were making as much money as they were saying. No way.
No.
They're lying out the ass.
And I think what happened was like when Netflix got into making their own stuff, licensing somebody's content was a heck of a lot cheaper than going in and doing your own stuff, because now you got to pay salaries, and now you got to pay now you got to pay for special effects, you got to pay for all that, and that stuff was not cheap. And so the end result is that it ran those guys dry. So now they have to bring in ads. So now you're paying a subscription and you're watching ads. And if you want to pay, and if you don't want to watch ads, then you pay, I guess, a different subscription. I don't know. I dropped Netflix after Cuties. I was done with that crap.
Most people did. Yeah. The only streaming service I have now is I just have Prime because it has the free shipping. And you get the sports on it, and then you get. That's the only reason why I have it. It just has sports and it has free shipping. Like I'm not even actively sitting on there watching this stuff. I think I could have saw this. Maybe I saw it on Facebook too. I read somewhere that maybe it was on Instagram that a lot of the there's going to be a big report coming out about, like, because you have a ton of subscribers on a lot of these streaming services. How many? Because keep in mind, how many of those subscribers are actively watching the content consistently? Over as someone, because like. People don't notice in America, our phone providers are all kind of partnered with streaming services. So I could have HBO Max because I have an AT&T phone, but I'm not actually subscribed to HBO Max. I just only have it because I have that specific carrier of that phone. Like, how many of these subscribers are only just there because you are the carrier of that phone company that is partnered with that streaming service? That's another misleading thing too. It's like you have a lot of these subscribers, but that's only just because these phone companies kind of prop up your numbers too.
Yeah. Well, that was the big deal with CNN. They went around calling themselves the most trusted name in news, but the reason why CNN had so many people watching is because it came as a default package with your cable subscription. And once that went away, Mr. Most Trusted Name in News took a nosedive. So,
do you remember when they tried doing CNN Plus? Holy crap! That failed in a day. Only a day. Yeah.
That's like more crap on top of crap.
People don't like the regular CNN. Why would I pay for CNN? That someone who said that in a board meeting. Hey, why don't we make a streaming service for our mainstream media outlet that people already actively vehemently hate?
Yeah.
And someone went, yeah, let's put a lot of money to that.
And then they did their deals to make sure that it was playing in like hotels and restaurants, and nobody was watching that stuff because they wanted to watch it. And once they got rid of that, it tanked.
I think a lot of these mainstream media outlets, what really keeps them alive, honestly, is the social media age, because their ratings haven't been good in a long time. Even Fox News, right? What keeps them alive is like Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, YouTube Shorts, being on Twitter, being on Instagram, being on Facebook, being on TikTok. I think the only thing that keeps them alive is social media, because if you take away social media, I guarantee these numbers are falling flat on their head. Like, the only thing I see out of these mainstream media outlets is the clips they put out on either their YouTube channels or Twitter or like Facebook or whatever.
Well, I think there's a large segment of like Gen Xers like me that still regularly
even like your parents' generation and your generation would still have them. But I'll be honest with you, dude, unless I see like a YouTube clip out of it or anything like on Twitter, I've not sat through a mainstream media broadcast in too long. Like the whole thing, it's been years since I did it.
Exactly. I'm the same way. I don't think I've watched Fox News, CNN, or definitely not MSNBC
Unless you want to blow your brains out.
In like years. I mean, I freaking watch YouTube all the time. You
Yeah,
know,
like
I'll
you remember
throw.
back in the day when someone would talk to you, they'd be like, "Hey, did you watch the news?" You'd be like, "Yeah, I did." But
Mhm.
like now we get the news from so many different other places.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
worth it. Also, it's cheaper to just read someone posting what they're going to
Yeah,
post about than watching a whole mainstream media broadcast. Also, I don't want to watch a broadcast where the only thing all these women talk about is Donald Trump. It's like,
yeah,
I get it. Trump is not the best guy in the world, but there is plenty of other bad things to cover in the world. It's just every, like literally a conversation about race could happen. And they'll be like, you know what? Well, when Trump became president, it's like, oh my God, yes,
yeah,
racism started when Trump became
yeah.
president, obviously. It's like,
Yes,
holy
get
shit.
off of it. We're done with it. Yeah, my wife. I mean, my wife watches Rumble all the time. She comes home, she throws on Rumble. She's got her
Really?
political shows on Rumble. I think
Mhm.
she watched Crowder and a couple other guys whose names I don't remember. I've seen them before, and I think they also have
Is it the
YouTube
Vive
channels.
guy? He has got the crazy hair.
No, no, it's some other guy.
Oh, okay.
She watches. I
Megan
can't remember.
Kelly.
No, not Megan Kelly. He's a black. One of them's an older black dude, and the other
Oh,
one's
black. I'm already out. Nope.
yeah.
God.
No,
If it's
I mean
black, I'm out. I'm just kidding.
yeah. No, he's a decent guy,
Mhm.
and God, she watches Crowder, that, and some other guy, and I can't remember what they are. I just I come back from my office here, and I go over there and talk to her about something, watch what she's watching. I go
Mhm.
back. Me, I go on frickin' Tubi and I watch horror movies. So
Oh, Tubi's amazing. Also, Pluto TV is another good one
yep,
too. Same thing.
Pluto,
Yeah.
Pluto TV. We used to have. There's another one, and I can't remember what it was. Like I want to say Sharp, but it was no Swing. We had Swing for a
Mhm.
while, but we couldn't justify when I think Pluto's free. We couldn't justify paying for a Swing TV when we could have freaking Pluto for free.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, what was it on Watch Now? What's their slogan? Watch now, pay never. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that. That's pretty good. I like that. I and then now what's crazy? If people don't remember, last year Tubi got the rights to broadcast the Super Bowl. So it's like
yeah,
at some point, I'll be honest, man. At some point, they're gonna get deals to have sports packages. At some point, it's gonna happen. At some
yeah.
point, they'll have sports packages on
You
there.
know what? There's so much content on frickin' Tubi, and it's so easy to get at. You don't have to pay a thing. All you got to do is sit through the commercials. I'd rather go back to that than paying these streaming services, because you buy Netflix, you get like maybe 3 shows, and the rest of them suck.
Or
So
yeah, and keep in mind when let's say you and your wife want to have a night where you just watch a movie, since
yeah,
there's so much content on a lot of these streaming services, you actually spend more time scrolling trying to find something to watch than actually just
exactly.
picking something to just go straight into. That's what I
Yeah,
noticed a lot too. Like when I had Netflix, the reason why I got rid of a lot of them, it's not because I just hated them. It's just more like I don't use them enough. I would literally log in and see a movie maybe once. I'm not justifying paying all this much money for 3 streaming services where I log into it a month. I'd
yeah,
rather just fucking get it off the internet somewhere,
yeah,
or I'll just watch Tubi or Pluto TV. All this stuff will eventually be on Pluto TV and Tubi anyway. At
yeah.
some point, you know.
So I mean, but I mean, there's so many different services out there, and a lot of them are free. I, I- I left Netflix outside of maybe not being able to see a season of Stranger Things. I've missed it.
Mhm.
I remember being on Netflix, sitting there scrolling through stuff, watching one episode, stopping it halfway, going, "This sucks," going and trying something else. This sucks. I found maybe a handful of good series that I liked, or movies
Mhm.
that I liked. One of them was Kingdom, which was Korean. It was a like a um, Middle Ages, or like Dark Ages, Korean Dark Ages zombie series. It was
Mhm.
really good. And then I also like Marco Polo. I thought that was a great series too, but that got booted because it was too expensive.
Yeah, Netflix has that too, and this is why Netflix potentially buying Warner Brothers, it would be like the worst thing ever. I'm people don't understand. Netflix quite literally will just yeet a show that is beloved by people if it didn't bring in enough subscribers. Because that's what most of these series are made
Mm,
for. They're meant to bring in new subscribers. But then we know they're full of shit because there'll be a horrible show that'll last 5 seasons. We know that's uh, but that will be apparently getting more seasons, and we know that show's not bringing them in any new subscribers.
No.
I just don't like. They're the worst partner to have when it comes to anything TV related. I don't know why people want them to buy Warner Brothers unless you're one of those people that just want the Snyderverse restored. It's like they're not doing that either.
Yeah, I mean, what is
crazy.
They killed frickin' Marco Polo. They did the same thing to Daredevil when Daredevil was getting good. They killed that show. Of course, Stranger Things hasn't died, but it takes them years to like do episodes. It's like every single series that I really like watching, they end up killing it, and it's like I can live without this, and we haven't gone back. We haven't missed anything, honestly.
Like when people say there's a good Netflix movie, I'm like, I'll just watch it on the seas whenever I get a chance to. That's pretty much it. I think the last good movie I watched on it was that Chris Hemsworth one. It was Extraction, the first one.
Yeah, Extraction was pretty good.
Yeah, a pretty solid action flick. But the thing with Netflix is, like all streaming services, that I get into this mindset, dude, where it's basically even if they hit, people forget about them so quick because it's on a streaming service. Like I remember Patty Jenkins had a quote, and she was basically saying, like, I don't really hear about these good streaming movies mostly at all. It's kind of like a ghost town there. It kind of is. Like, unless it's really big, people don't care about it at all. Like even Invincible. Like Invincible is pretty good for a lot of people, but you don't really see it getting any sort of chatter unless there's a new season coming up for it.
Yep.
You know, like even One Piece came out, live action version, it died out in the conversation. Squid Game dies out in the conversation. Most TV shows and movies die out in the conversation because that's it. It's just it's supposed to just consume, and then just move on from it. Oh God, they're turning our brains into mush.
I mean, and when that was the whole thing about the syndication system. The funny thing is that back in the old days when we only had 3 or 4 channels, there was a lot of good content on because people had to kind of like fight to get on the content. And once they had something that was bringing in good ratings, they kept it around. It's the reason why why we always seen reruns of I Love Lucy. Because number one, they were the ones that set up the syndication system.
Yeah.
The Desilu Studios is the one that set up the syndication system. But they had a lot of good content. Now people are buying content left and right. Most of it sucks, and they keep it out there for people to buy, and it's just the stuff is loading up people's servers and nobody's watching it. So it's. I knew that I always had a feeling that this is going to come to this where they're going to have to start doing commercials in order to make ends meet because the subscriptions
the amount of money that they spend making the show, people don't understand. If you make a TV show and it's like $100 million, but that's insane. Holy crap. How do we get to this point where TV shows are worth $100 million? That's insane. Movies that cost like $200 million, people understand the reason they're making these is to have the subscribers subscribe to the streaming service and pay monthly so they can keep making these movies. Netflix, at one point they cracked down on the whole password sharing and they got more money from that, from the whole password sharing. It's just like, I just don't think there's going to be a point where you're just endlessly going to be able to grow in subscribers. I do think
and that's where the problem came in, is that they would put out this series. It wouldn't get them new subscribers. It would just keep the ones that were there, and so they're ending up spending all of this money. They're spending more money, but they're not making any additional revenue. And they're spending the money to try and keep the people. So becoming studios was their biggest mistake. And it may end up, Amazon's now running commercials now too. So,
Amazon's spending what, $300 million on Rings of Power?
Oh my God. And that thing is such a turd. Frickin' what is it? The other one that they had?
Wheel of Time.
Wheel of Time.
Yeah,
that one's. I watched the first season of that. Like, this is awful. I mean, it's just freaking awful. It's not well written. I mean,
and then you realize the main guy who wrote the series wasn't even involved in any possible capacity, because
I know
it's always that they know better than the people that created. Obviously,
and they told Brandon Sanderson, who was asked by Robert Jordan's widow to come in and finish, I guess, a book or maybe add some books to it. was basically told, get lost. He told them, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. And they said, yeah, well, thank you. Have a nice day. Here's your check. Leave us alone. And it's like, you do know that you've just told one of the biggest fantasy authors in the nation today to get the hell lost.
People are insane. Like, and then I understand why people have issues with creators because they can kind of be just pompous, self-righteous assholes most of the time. But I
Yeah.
do get it from a point of view of like not. I get why they would be mad at the studios because the studios will always go, "Hey, I'm going to put someone in charge, and they know better than you because it's something that I selected." It's like, how would this person know better than the person that made it? And then it's not the fact that they're hiring their own person. You're not even allowed to be involved.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Well, that's what getting back to Game of Thrones. That's what happened. They wanted out. Martin wanted more Martin wanted more seasons. He felt there was supposed to be like 11 seasons to get where they needed to go. And Dan and Dave decided it was going to be 8 because they wanted to go reach that Star Wars cash. And basically, they told George R. From what I've heard, they basically told George R. R. Martin to get lost. And so they wrapped it up quick, and it was, probably one of the biggest humiliations on cable TV, I think, or on streaming TV to date. And it not only destroyed the show, it caused a ripple effect. It basically destroyed their careers. So this is where you get the creators not being involved and keeping things in line, because Martin was very involved in, like, I think the first 6 seasons, and then 7 and 8 went off the rails. Not only because they ran out of material, but because they also weren't talking to Martin, from what I heard. So
yeah, it's the same thing with like anime. People don't actually understand. Like with a lot of famous big animes you know and love, they're not the creators of it aren't the showrunners.
no.
And people go, wait, no. Actually, most of the time, you ask these guys at cons if they knew what was going on. They go, what the fuck? You'll be
No.
like, I don't know, I'm not involved. That's all. And it's weird because if you brought them over, I guess from a logistic point of view, you'd have to get a translator because they don't speak English, and you would have to be able to have that translator convey their ideas to, let's be honest here, a bunch of people that are just clearly retarded. These people are literally stupid. And I get it from a complete logistical point of view because you have to fly them in, fly them back out. They have to write, they have to draw. I understand that, but the fact that they're not involved, you can't send emails, you can't communicate with this person through, like, back in the day we had Skype, something. They're just not involved. It's
Exactly.
utterly insane.
You want another prime example? Stephen King.
Ooh, yeah, he's a big one too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Stephen King's money is made on all those freaking movie adaptations. Probably not made on royalties or book sales. It's made on movie adaptations.
Yeah.
It's the reason why the guy's so freaking filthy rich. And if you'll notice, virtually none of the shows made out of books of his look like the books. I mean, there's been a few like The Stand, but it's like the Salem's Lot that came out on TV.
Did they do a remake of that not too long ago?
They did a remake, but the
Yeah.
first one that came out looked absolutely, from what I heard, looked absolutely nothing like the book, and they cut out a bunch of stuff, and they kind of had to.
That guy writes some weird stuff.
Yeah, I know. Lawnmower Man was another one. Maximum Overdrive was the third. The Shining, the Kubrick version of The Shining, that looked nothing like the book. And so I think after a while, because the money was rolling in, I think what Stephen King says, okay, do whatever you want with my movies. The whole point of writing books is to make money. So, and if he's making this money by just letting them do what they want, he's going to let them do what they want. So, and the other thing too is that a lot of these movie companies, they don't want the creator involved because they don't want the creator sticking his fingers in there, causing problems with like budget or time or shoots or whatever. So I think he just got used to it. And I think that's what happens with a lot of this stuff. You get a bunch of people who, number one, aren't fans of they're looking at it as like a name, and they're looking at it for the author name as a draw. They don't particularly give a crap about the story, and they're going to do whatever they want because
they feel like I think it's an ego trip too. They just personally feel like they know better. They're because in their minds they're the know-it-all. They know everything. They know it best because they produced it. They put the someone just signing a check just thinking that they knew how to create something is actually crazy at this point.
And in some instances, you kind of have to. I mean, if you took like the Lord of the Rings, even Tolkien himself said you'll never be able to adapt this. And the Lord of the Rings movies only kind of facially resemble the books.
Yeah.
But they kind of had to be that way because you're not going to get somebody sitting in a theater for 4 hours with what Tolkien wrote. The Russians did that.
Mm-hmm.
They had a faithful adaptation of the Lord of the Rings, and you can find it. I think it's actually out on it's out on YouTube somewhere. It's somewhere out on the net. But it is boring as hell. It's not something you can sit through. You have to watch it periodically for like the next 3 years. So you do have to take the core material and you have to rework it for the movie going audience. That I understand. But when you start just reworking everything, that's where it comes off the rails. Everybody loves the Kubrick Shining, and there's you go on freaking YouTube and you see all these conspiracy videos on it or all of these explanation videos on it. People love it, but apparently, from what I've been told, looks nothing like the book, and it really pissed off Stephen King. But I think at that point he was like I think that was the movie where he kind of resigned himself to saying, "I'm getting paid. I'm going to get more book sales out of this. Maybe I should just shut up about it."
Yeah, because with Stephen King, even if you're looking at it from a book to movie adaptation, because average people potentially don't even know what that series was before they even saw the movie, they'll go, "Hey, this is based off a book. Maybe I'll go read the book." That probably got you more sales on that front than just doing the book initially, which is insane, honestly.
But these authors, they get a ton of money for the rights to use the book. So or they get a ton of money to option it to make sure that nobody else gets it, and then they get a ton of money for the actual rights to use the book. So this is where the big money is the adaptations, and I think Stephen King knew that.
And the ultimate goal is to eventually have a studio producer offer you a chance that your book could be adapted to
the ultimate goal is a gated estate up in frickin' Maine, like on 400 acres, a pristine forest. That's what the guy has. I mean, he's got like this big gated frickin' mansion.
Yeah, and he wants to tell you how it is to be in the hood, even though he never interact with that kind of person in his entire life anymore at this point.
Yeah,
which is insane.
Well, I mean, you heard, you hear a lot about before he had kind of a rough life.
Yeah.
Before he got found out, so I kind of cut him a little bit of slack. But at one point or another, you need to fucking shut up.
Yeah, I remember. Good Lord, he had this weird tweet where he owned himself, where he was like, "Trans people aren't insane; they're not lunatics." And then he or something like that, and then he got owned by Matt Walsh on one thing. It was like, "Wait, they're not lunatics, but this person shot up a school. What are you talking about?"
Yeah, I just. So yeah, he has some epically bad takes, but I've got friggin' Stephen King blocked on Twitter. His stuff used to come on him and J.K. Rowling. Their stuff used to come on my feed, and while I may agree with them on some things, they're just freaking insane. I don't want to see their stuff. Anyways,
because moving forward, you have a new book that you wrote. It's coming out, or it's one that you already did.
Yeah, I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle of writing a book right now. Actually, I'm not in the middle of it. I'm near the end of writing it. It's the follow-up. It's actually the follow-up to this guy, The Wizard Stone.
And that's the second book in that series, right?
Well, this is the first book with a different character. The one I'm working on now will be the second book in what I would call I guess we call it a series. All of my stuff is like pretty much you can read it independent of
all standalone books.
Yeah, all standalone. Okay. Yeah. I try. The exception of The Revenant and the Cult, which is these guys here, which I broke up into two separate books. And this is using the character from my first book, which is
No
Hellsucker.
chances for a third in that series.
Oh yeah, I'm good. I'll write more. I mean, I have a couple in mind. I actually also have from this series the character Roe. I'm seriously thinking my next book is going to be him. Because every time I say that, I always say, yeah, I'm going to do this book, and then I end up doing something else. So
yeah. So how many series do you have? I know you have those two.
that's it.
That's it. You're just doing Revenant, and you have the one that's with Wizard Stone. Okay.
Yeah. And then they're eventually leading up to a third book, which is about a character named Frankie, which I have the first 2 books of that already written. But and those are the ones I was trying to get published traditionally. And I have an article on my Substack about that, about trying to query the first book in that, and what got me into self.
Thank God. Substack. Oh man, I've got no traction with
Yeah.
it so far because I'm just posting like podcast episodes that we do here. But Substack is a great place to. It's basically like YouTube for authors. People don't actually know what it is. And it's free. Essentially,
Yeah.
you can pay to get more stuff out of people that offer it, but it's a great place if you're into more like authors and series like that. Honestly, I would recommend it to anybody. Honestly, I even told my friend James to do that.
Yeah,
you're good.
Yeah, I get more. I get more views on Substack for any of my articles than I ever did on my blog. So
That's insane.
Because number one, it distributes it around people who might be interested, and number two, it seems like people seem to be more happy to go to Substack than they are to my blog. So I mean, I think the best views I got on my blog was like 20 views, and 20 views is the low end of what I'm getting on Substack. So
I feel like the algorithm is really good on Substack, where it just kind of can get it to people, even if you're not even in that specific kind of genre, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I
I think
mean,
that's how they all should be, but never turn
Yeah.
out that way, honestly.
Yeah. So, I mean, I tried that, and I think what I might do is I might monetize that. I might take some of I have like additional material that I have for these books, or some background material I have to these books, and monetize that. So if you're a fan of the books, you can, pay a monthly subscription, and I do, let's say, maybe one of these background posts per month, and the rest are all free.
Because I know my friend does this. Have you ever, or are you currently doing something on a website where you release a chapter a week? I know a lot of people do that now. They release like chapters a week, kind of like how like the Shonen Jump app releases a manga chapter to people like a week or whatever. You ever consider doing that, just releasing a chapter out of your books?
Yeah, well, I might release like 1 or 2 chapters like free.
Yeah.
But I won't release a chapter a week, and the reason being is because of the way I write. I like start with something, and as I'm writing, the story sort of takes form. So I can't really release anything until the frickin' book is done. And then when I get done with the rough draft, I'll go back and I'll change stuff that I needed to change for consistency's sake. So me doing a chapter a month or whatever, I don't see that working. And the stuff I kind of plot out ahead of time, I personally don't feel as good as the stuff that I'm writing now, which is I just sort of like wing it.
Yeah.
And the ideas come as I'm writing, and then once I get all the way to the end, I go back and kind of make it all nice and
So
consistent.
we're not going to get a black lesbian in your new book coming up, where she's gender fluid and fighting the patriarchy.
God, no. Although my Odo is a quote person of color, so and I hate that freaking term.
God Lord, POC is the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
God, or even in the authors, I guess like community, a lot of people think that having a New York Times bestseller stamp on your book means it's like approved of by the right people. It's like people pay for that. I thought that was something you get from actually having a really good written book. No, apparently you can just get it if you really wanted it, or they approve your work. They think it's their approved.
There's two things that you got to have. First is I think it's like you got to have 10,000 books sold in a week. So and then
that's already almost impossible for like 99% of up-and-coming authors. Yeah,
and then it's curated, so they make sure that if they don't like you, you don't get on the list. is this is what happened to Larry Correia. Larry Correia made it big with his Monster Hunters International
Mhm.
thing, and he got on the New York Times bestseller list. And then they discovered he was a big ass conservative,
Oh yeah.
and
Mhm.
he was also a Mormon, and he never saw that again. So that's that's the New York Times bestsellers. I'm never going to get there. I'll never be
Didn't
on
they
that.
release like new requirements like some years ago? And man, people, oh my god, you have to have a person, like you said before, a person of color lead,
Yeah.
main lead or secondary. You have to have like a lesbian or some shit, some crazy thing.
Mhm.
Like your villain can't be anything resembling of Trump. Like what the fuck?
Yeah. No,
Actual just
I'm
lunatic stuff they're putting out there.
yeah, and a
Oh,
lot.
the main lead can't be white. I remember that one. That was like, what? That's just blatantly
Yeah.
racist.
I'm just yeah. You know what? I'm going to write what I want to write.
Yeah, I think it's
Um,
better. Yeah.
and if you don't, and if because the funny thing is that the Wizard's Stone is one of my favorite. Is one of my favorite books.
Mhm.
It's the one that also gets some. It's one of the only ones that's gotten like I think like a 1 or 2 star review.
Mhm.
And I got I got a single 2 star review by a guy I know. Um, and his things were he didn't like the way it ended, and I just don't think he liked the character.
Mhm.
But I've had a couple of weird reviews on there that were like, "What are you talking about?" And I think it was because someone got butthurt because it's a not a white character, and I'm a white
God,
dude
man.
writing a non-white character. That's my thought. I can't prove it, but um, it it just none of my other books have those low ratings. That one does. So you figure it out. Yeah, that's my favorite book, and I actually
Yeah.
like this character. I really like this character. I like this
Mhm.
character more than I like Hal Cedric because he's more like me. So, but
So for your
that's
so
just
for
me
the
speculating.
so for the next things you have planned for your books, you're currently writing one, but is there any more books you could possibly think of that you want to do later on in the future? Like any other
Yeah,
genres you want to tap into? Like horror? I think you already
I
did horror, I think.
no, I haven't done. Well, I mean, my things are like a mixture of adventure, fantasy, and horror.
Yeah, yeah, I remember. Yeah, yeah.
I've played with the idea of writing horror, but it's like
Yeah, it's true, Orange Avenger.
yep.
That's true. Yep.
I've played with the idea of writing horror. I might write horror. I kind of like that. Um, but I'm thinking going to stay with fantasy.
Mhm.
So I do not want to write sci-fi. I find it funny that a lot of
It's too
software developers.
oversaturated too. Like most of these big
Well,
genres are
yeah,
just too oversaturated. You know.
it's like well, I've noticed something. A lot of software guys, because I write
Mhm.
software for a living.
Mhm.
A lot of software guys, they all write fantasy. I'm
Mm.
sure a few of them write sci-fi, but a lot of them write fantasy because it's like every time I start talking to a fantasy author, like, yeah, I work in IT.
Mhm.
So it's apparently it's like it has something to do with software or computers or something like that drives them to fantasy. But horror because I also like you can find a lot of H.P. Lovecraft elements in my books. And if I did write horror, it'd be like cosmic horror,
Mhm.
stuff like that. It's I find that weird and interesting. So
Herman is gonna write Morning Glory Milking Farm 2, grab a bull by the horns. That sounds something like you would write on like that would be just considered just straight up porn. Yeah, let's just all just start writing porn. Hell yeah. Programming drives them to fetishize Minotaur. What the fuck? They're like, you know what? This month I just want to start writing a book about hippos. Just hippos getting boned out by cows. What? Oh my god. You know that yeah, so do you think right now it's hard to kind of break out as like a more like indie author more
yeah,
than ever?
it is. I mean, with the AI flooding the market,
So you're
um,
not gonna have a Herman AI written book.
no, hell no. I Writing the book is the fun part.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. Writing the book. Why the hell you would hand that off to a freaking AI? I have no idea. Other than to just write books to write books, because
Yeah.
the more books you have out there, the more people will buy them, and that's actually true. But I write books because I like writing the
Mhm.
stories. the story I'm working on now is probably the story I've really enjoyed writing this book. The one that I'm writing right now. It's probably the one that I've enjoyed the most thus far. It doesn't feel like a labor, although sometimes it does. I'm able to just kind of like escape into this
Mhm.
world and write my stuff. So why I would hand that off to AI, I have no idea. But there are some people who do,
So
whatever.
I'll ask you this: do you think that people would be able to tell the difference? One, and then two, do you think the average person cares enough about how the sausage is made? Because like people say they don't like when they find out, like people like we kind of kill chickens and we eat chickens. Like, well, I don't
Hmm.
want to eat chicken anymore. But average people just when they find it out, even when they do, they don't care. So it's like, does the average person care about how a sausage is made other than just they just want to go buy it?
They want the story, but at the same time, they want to follow the author.
Hmm.
And I've always said people don't follow books, they follow authors.
Hmm.
The people loved Lord of the Rings. The people who loved Lord of the Rings or loved The Hobbit went back to buy Lord of the Rings, not because it was more of The Hobbit, but because it was written by J.R.R. Tolkien.
Hmm.
Most of my books are this year were sold at cons, and I got a fair amount of repeat business from cons. Or I'd get somebody who buy, if you like a 2 or 3 day con, they
Hmm.
buy one book one day and they'd be back the next day to buy the rest. And when I went to BaseCon, my sales went to people who had bought my first 3 books. So they follow authors, they don't follow books. So you
Hmm.
could have a series and people could get sick and tired of that series and move on. But if you have different books by the author and they know and they trust the author, they'll buy it from the author.
Right.
When you hand off all that stuff to an AI, you stop becoming the author.
Yeah, because doesn't that just essentially just make someone just an idealist at that point?
Yeah. It's somebody who's creating a book to create a book, and they haven't really put any skin into the book.
Hmm.
And from what I'm hearing, um, while AI can write books for you, a lot of them require a significant amount of revision. I forget who it was. Dale, guy's on YouTube, and he
Hmm.
has like a self-publishing channel. His name's Dale
Hmm.
something. And a bald guy, you'll know him.
Hmm.
And he said he tried using AI to write a fiction book, and the he then passed it by people who've actually write in the genre he's trying to write, and they were like, "This is a good book, but," and basically the comments were, "We're going to need to rewrite this. Would you like me to do that for you?" So the problem is that everybody has like I have a style.
Hmm.
Stephen King has a style. John A. Douglas has a style. You're
Hmm.
going to have a style. That style is going to be in everything you write, and the style is just as integral to the book as the story you use. And if
Orange,
you're
stop doing crack.
yeah, I got to look at that.
Grok is great
Uh,
at writing scenarios for me where Aaliyah from Mega Man X1. Oh my god! Just well,
okay, I
all right,
didn't need to hear that. I didn't need to read that. I shouldn't have read that. Anyways, but
Orange Dude hug.
yeah, but it's like there's pieces of me in that book.
Hmm.
It pieces of me in all of my books and in also in my characters. Why would I? The AI is not going to know that. It's like the books
Hmm.
that I'm writing now. I mean, the books that I'm writing now are all have some sort of connection. AI is not going to know that. You
Hmm.
know, and you having to shoehorn that crap in. I don't see an AI doing that well. So yeah, they can go write their AI. I know a few authors, some of them big, or are now using AI.
Yeah, I mean,
I won't do it.
so someone that you had some interactions with, I was going to go over with you. JDA says he's a best-selling author, but some of his best-selling books that he says, I don't know if it's true. I don't know about his analytics
Mhm.
are like AI written. It's a proud person to say, hey, I'm just an AI writer, and I can write better AI stuff than most average people. It's like, I mean,
Okay. Well, number one, I don't typically talk about him openly,
mhm,
because all it does is create drama. I don't want to create any more drama. If that's what he wants to do, he can knock himself out, and I hope he enjoys it. I won't do that.
yeah,
This is, like I said, this is if I can't have fun doing this, then I'll go back to playing with my 3D freaking printer. I mean, it's what it come down. That's what it comes down to. Go back to strumming my little freaking guitar. I suck at guitar, anyways. Play with my little 3D printer. Maybe make some guitar effects or whatever, and do something else. If I can't have fun at what I'm doing, I write right now. I'm kind of at the end of my software career. I wouldn't say I'm at the exact end. I have a number of years left.
I would love the reparations from your 401k. Heard you guys owe us that.
Yeah, well, that 401k. If I live long enough, that 401k ain't gonna, it's gonna, I ain't gonna, it's gonna, I'm gonna outlive it. But I loved when I got into software. I loved what I do. I still love what I do. And it's the same with writing. I like writing. I love writing. If it comes down to me just churning out crap using a machine, I'm done. I'm not.
I guess the only other angle to it is like people say you just have to kind of get with the times because it will create making this stuff a lot more easier. But it's like, I don't know. There's always times where there's going to be new technology to churn things out faster, but there's always going to be, in my opinion, people that don't want to do that because there's just no reason to. Keep in mind, someone, if you want to do that, I always tell people, go ahead and do that, but don't expect me to do that just because you're doing that. Like, if you're saying if you were going to jump off a bridge because you think it was going to give you like superpowers, I'm not doing that. You can go do that. I'm not doing that.
If it takes me half a year to write a book, the book comes from me.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not me just putting in prompts into frickin' AI and churning out because I can do that in a month part-time. That's not that hard.
Yeah.
Another thing too, and this is something as a prime example, and I just noticed this recently working with Substack. I've been using Grammarly. I have the paid subscription for Grammarly. Grammarly has its own grammar AI.
Yeah.
And it does suggestions and stuff for you. And it was just recently I was writing another article because I kind of like write all my articles a month in advance, let's say. And I put them out there and, so I can like backlog them and then go do my other writing. But I've noticed that when I started relying on Grammarly, it stopped sounding like me. And I've started using Grammarly to find the most obvious things and then going in and fixing them myself using a different way of writing, but still sounding like me. But if you place too much reliance on this stuff, the part of you that's in these books goes away and you become, it begins to stagnate your language. You sound like everybody else. So, that's part of the danger. The thing that makes my books what they are is because of the words I use and the things that I think of and the ideas that I have. When you start having something else put your ideas in for you, you stop writing the books. You start having them giving the words to you. You stop writing the books. Just a guy.
And as far as cons, when you say you had the repeat business, have you seen an increase in people from like the first cons you were at versus where it's at now too?
Yeah. The first con I went to was in Houghton Lake, Michigan, and I sold 11 books, which I was kind of surprised because of the dead con. And so that 10 books is like my base. It doesn't, it was worth coming to the con if I sold 10 books. Then 20 is like, okay, well maybe this doesn't suck. Beyond that, I've already sold out of books in 2 cons twice in a row. And I nearly sold out at a third. And the interesting thing that I'm finding is that, like I said, if somebody buys a book one day, there's a 30% chance that they'll come back and buy the rest of the books the day after. So my wife had a friend who wanted to read one of my books. So I had like one of the ones where I screwed up the signature and I gave it to her. She came back and she bought all the books and she's reading them right now.
Wow.
So yeah.
Crazy.
So, and that is not uncommon for me. So I obviously don't suck at this if people are coming back and doing this. And I have people who have bought at previous cons come back the next year and buy my latest release.
So I was going to ask you this too, because I know you said this last time, but it was more like the origin story you had in the last episode. Is that how do you get people to do that? Is it based off like is there a certain pitch you have for people? Is there a certain way you just go about it? Because I know a lot of people say at cons it's very hard to get someone to come over to your table or
No,
booth to buy stuff. You never had that issue ever, really?
I mean we have our our pitches. Do you like fantasy? And that's about it. You know, I'm dead serious. It's either it's it's the fact that I got every book is pretty much 4 stars and
Mhm.
above. Okay, I think there's one that's like 3.8, and I think that's on Goodreads. It's the covers and the subject. People are tired of grimdark.
Mhm.
People are tired of they want the good versus evil, but they're also tired of the shades of gray, and they want something more. They're tired of the these huge navel gazing books, and they want something that's going to keep their attention and fun. That they're fun, and they want somebody who's going to have that for them all the time. And I wish I could write more than one book a year. This one especially because like it's probably going to be about 150,000 words.
Oh
And right
my
now
gosh.
right now my biggest book is like 82k, 82,000 words. That's The Wizard's Stone. So I'm trying to write more, but when you write more,
Right.
it takes more time to write, takes more time to edit.
Have you ever
You
had
know, I
days where you just sat there and didn't write anything, you just looked at the screen?
no, but there's been a few days that I've taken time off, and I usually get about 1,000 words, anywhere from about 500 to 1,000 words done a night.
Mhm.
There's been a few days where I've just taken it off because I'm burnt out. I mean,
Right.
I've been getting burnt out now, and then I like right now I've stopped after I think I'm like on chapter 52,
Mhm.
somewhere in that area.
Is there a specific chapter length you like your books to be
No,
ending and going to? Okay.
and well, from I think the next book's going to be a hell of a lot shorter. Um, because it just takes a lot of time, and then like I said, it also takes a lot of money because I send these guys out to be edited. You
Right,
know,
right. And printing
and that
them.
ain't cheap. Printing
Do you-
them's not that big of a deal.
really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, having them formatted for print, that's not a big of a deal. It's going to be expensive per book, but you know what? You buy the books. I know they'll sell.
Mhm.
You know, and now that I've got a store and I'm going to promote the store, that I'm going to build that momentum. It's
Yeah.
going to take a while. So
Yeah, the only issue is like converting potentially the Substack page, which is your highest viewership
mhm,
base, converting them over to somewhere else to buy the book, because that's the biggest problem I noticed with a lot of this is converting people and moving them
mhm.
somewhere when they're already stationed in that place. People just don't like moving. That's just how people are. They like just planting their feet one place and that's it.
Yeah. So, but I mean, my Substack is me just commentary and other bullshit like that. I
Yeah.
mean, it doesn't actually have. I think if I start putting up like ancillary, like lore and stuff,
Mhm.
and I start making that subscribing, that they might start buying the books. I just started the store this year, so it's like I'm not I don't have like a big base. I just started building my email. Well, I started expanding my email list this year. The cons allow me to expand my email list because it's a lot easier to get email addresses from people who buy your books at cons, especially fans who are at cons that love your books, and send them emails to get them to coming to my store than it did other way. I mean, you can't build your own email list on X. You can't build your own email list on Facebook. I've used Facebook ads in the past. They do
Mhm.
work, but they don't work spectacularly well. And the one thing that is working is cons. And I think part of the reason why it's working at cons is because they get to meet the author. They get to I have one book that they can buy that they can enjoy, and then they get bookmarks and stuff like that. But they know that they've met the author, and if they think that the author's an okay guy and they like
Yeah.
the books, they'll come back and buy more.
Yeah.
You don't get that on frickin' Amazon. My stuff is lost in a swamp of God knows what.
Yeah, because most of the people that say that they're this type of author on any website I've noticed is like they're paying for that advertising. That's not
Yeah,
organic. There's no
no.
way.
So
All that's bought with advertising. God damn. You got
so
$2,000 to drop on advertising, dude? There you go. You could be in the #1 bestseller on Amazon.
Oh, it's more than that. It's like
Oh God,
they're
no.
dropping like 3 weeks at like 1,500 to to $2,000 a week. We'll make it up. I'm glad you can make it up. I can't afford that. Technically, I could if I really wanted to, but I'm not sinking that kind of money into something I don't know is going to produce
Get a return.
results.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So, and even if I did that, I mean, I don't. When you sell through Amazon the way I'm doing it now, I'm going to change that next year. But when you
Yeah.
sell through Amazon the way I'm doing it now, I make only like maybe a buck or a couple of bucks per
That's what I
book.
heard too. It's not even lucrative as big, honestly, unless you're doing massive volume.
Exactly.
Where you get like the stamp where it says like teacher's pick, editor's pick,
Mhm.
author's pick, where it has that real stamp of approval there,
Yeah, and I'm not going to get that, well, at least as far as I know. So, but I'm also doing a lot of networking, and I'm making friends in more established authors. I've known Blaine Pardoe now for a while. I
Mhm.
really like Blaine. He comes to BaseCon every year. There's a few others that I'm not going to mention, but Blaine gave me a glowing review on my book. So, but there's a few other authors that I've established friendships with, and it's Larry Correa shouted me out not too long ago on
Mhm.
a BS tweet from some guy who was using my profile picture as some sort of meme, as some sort of counter to him. And Larry can be kind of harsh on Twitter, but he shouted me out. I mean, I must have sold like about 2 dozen books
Mhm.
based on that alone. So, the little things like making these relationships and having these guys help promote you, that doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
So,
All right. And the last few things I'll ask you, man, before we head out, which is the first thing, which is, do you have anything planned coming up for the rest of 2025 going into 2026 that you would like to let the audience know about?
yes, I'm having a Christmas what was it? Christmas season sale. There will be a post dropping on my Substack where it has the link and a discount code. We can get 30% off all of my books. And here's the thing with my store. Um, like Amazon, I sell the books individually, but my store is also able to sell paperback bundles, and I'm going to be
Mhm.
moving into ebooks pretty soon with
Mhm.
BookFunnel. So you can get I provide like discounts, not only the discount code, but I also provide discounts if you buy book bundles. So if you want to get all of my books, you can buy it there, and they all come signed. They come with a bookmark, and I think I give you a pen, an HBH Loreforge pen. So
Ooh.
that'll be dropping on the 27th.
And the last thing I'll ask you is, do you have any shout outs? You want to give to anyone in particular and anything else you want to say before you head out?
Yeah. Hey Wrangler. Uh, uh, now I'm Frederick Guimont is now ascendant.
Mhm.
He's getting a lot of attention. I think it's Rattel is his comic.
Mhm.
So shout out to John A. Douglas. Uh,
Yeah. You know,
he's
uh,
coming out with a book next. He's coming out with a book next year too.
also, yeah, John, man, fucking YouTube, man, screwed him over so bad. Just randomly just yeeted his YouTube channel for no
I
reason.
know. Well, I had a buddy who did that. Gary Shipman, who does Titan Mouse of Might, and this guy is the nicest guy in the world. Uh, Not offensive to anybody. And somebody came in and copyright struck all of his videos, and he got booted from YouTube. Now he's on Whatnot selling stuff, and apparently he's making money that way. So, but
I just hate how YouTube system is. Like
I
someone
know,
could just dislike you and they could just ruin your entire life, but then they just get away scot free, but you're
yeah,
just screwed. And then people look at you like you're the crazy one if you talk about how bad YouTube actually is. It's like
mhm,
people say they don't like corporations, but then we'll just suck off the whole corporation if it just benefits whatever like weird worldview they have of it. So
yeah.
weird.
Another
That's why I
person,
wish Rumble would do better, honestly. You know?
yeah, but well, another person like this is DJ Butler,
Mhm.
who is the senior editor at Arc Publishing. It's a
Mhm.
brand new publisher, very non woke. It's
Mhm.
small. It's kind of like a small version of Bane, but they're doing like sci-fi and fantasy and all that other stuff. So, and of course, Blaine Pardoe, for all of his help and support and his friendship too. So,
yeah, man, it was great having another conversation with you. What's crazy is the last time we had a conversation, Charlie Kirk was still alive.
Yeah, yeah.
Crazy how time flies. That's
they don't want to really want to win in the battle box. They'd rather just
blow your brains out.
Yeah.
They think justifying political violence against your opposition is good because they're defeating fascists.
Oh yeah,
insane people.
I guess they didn't really read history, huh?
Why does Herman have 2 coolers?
Those 2 coolers, actually, it's 3 of them. That's my cigar collection. So, if you're savvy in cigars, there's 2 types of guys who have cigar storages. Those are the guys that have the nice built-ins and all that other stuff, and they're humidified. And then everybody else has coolers because they're pretty much watertight. They hold humidity, and they're sealed, and they're insulated against temperature. So if you own lots of cigars, and I know guys who have stacks and stacks and stacks of coolers because they collect cigars. Because cigars, when they age, they only get better. So yes, so those are the 2. That's my cigar collection.
And yeah, as you guys know, we had a great episode here for the MSK show, and we're going into the weekend, and hopefully I'll get some days off from work because I'm gonna have my back blown out if I keep working this much. And we're gonna have just Thanksgiving coming up next. It's next week, I think. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
right?
next week.
It is.
So not
next week. It's the last week.
Not this Thursday. Not this upcoming Thursday, but the Thursday after.
Oh my god, dude!
I'm actually going to be out at Port Huron at the Blue Water Comic Con. So Port Huron, Michigan. That's another thing.
If I don't hear back from you,
for
the rest of the year, we'll see you next year on the show.
Yep.
It's always good talking to you, man. Don't go crazy on Twitter too hard.
Oh,
don't worry, Star Trek will come back to its glory soon.
Whatever you do, don't mention H1B around me.
God, I don't want to go into that anymore. I'm just done with life at this point. If I see another fucking tweet on Twitter where it's like trans women are not men,
yeah,
I might have to start. I don't even block. I silently mute, but I might just start having to use that freaking block function.
I've been blocking a bunch of people.
Have you seen the algorithm is just pushing weird trans people? Like the copy pastas. Yeah.
If you comment on one person's thread, next thing you know, that thread or that subject is all over your freaking timeline. And it's like I comment on one and it's all there, and I'm sitting here getting mad at some of this shit, and I just was like, I gotta put down the phone, just start blocking people. When you start blocking people, it starts going away.
Yeah, muting sometimes even better because it just doesn't even create any algorithm over. And you're seeing these weird copy pastas like, no, trans women aren't playing dress up. It's just a copy pasta of the same argument. I was like, okay, time for me to go. I'll blow my brains out. So thank you guys for checking out this episode of the MSK Show. We'll see you guys later. Have a great